Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the latest movie Vettaiyan. I just managed to catch the movie yesterday in a theater. And even before I start talking about the movie, let me inform you that I'm a huge Rajinikanth fan. Being a Tamilian and born and brought up in Bombay, my parents exposed me to Tamil cinema, but the exposure was limited to Rajinikanth and Kamal Haasan movies when I was growing up as a kid. And then in the year 1996, if I'm not wrong, I went to Chennai and I saw the movie Basha. I enjoyed that experience in a theater full of Rajinikanth fans. They were getting upset when Rajinikanth was beaten in one of the scenes. And then when he takes the revenge, they demanded that the scene be replayed. So the whole scene was replayed where he's beating up the goons and people cheered and whistled. And then when I was working for Bank of America, I saw the movie 2.0 and Peta in Chennai. I have loved the experiences of watching Rajinikanth movies in theater with his fans. I mean, that's a different experience altogether. But for Vettaiyan, my experience was very different because I first of all watched it in Tampa and we had a big hurricane, so I couldn't watch it in the first week. I watched it on a weekday, Thursday afternoon. So there was not much of a crowd, especially because of the hurricane. Nevertheless, I loved the movie. I don't think there are many negatives in the movie for me personally, but I thoroughly enjoyed my experience of watching the movie. My expectations were very different from this movie. Honestly speaking, when I go to watch a Rajinikanth movie, I just go to watch him. I don't really care about the storyline and what this movie is going to be talking about, but I got so much more than what I was expecting. So let me tell you what I was expecting as a storyline. I knew that Rajinikanth plays a cop who encounters criminals. He doesn't believe in putting them in jail and putting them behind bars, right? And on the other hand, we have Amitabh's character who stands for human rights and is against people like Rajinikanth's character who kill the criminals. So I thought this is going to be more of a tussle between the two of them. There may be another antagonist, but it is more of fight between the principles of these two characters. And I didn't know what else was going to happen in the movie, but this is somewhat what I was expecting from the movie. The movie began exactly the way I expected. You have Amitabh's character who stands for human rights. He's addressing a group and he's talking about how these encounters shouldn't be happening and how it is against the society. And then on the other hand, we are introduced to Rajinikanth's character in a very mass elevation kind of way. And you have Fahad Fasil's character who's an intelligent thief and he is the personal informant of Rajinikanth. So we have Fahad Fasil's character kind of building up the entry of Rajinikanth, and you have these goons sitting and Rajinikanth enters, beats up the goons, kills them. So okay, he's this encounter cop. Then there is Manasalayo's song, which I loved even before I saw the movie. So all of that is great. I'm enjoying the movie. I'm enjoying expected beats of a Rajinikanth movie, right? Then the movie introduces a couple more characters, a female cop who's just joined the police service. And then there is a female teacher who's a virtuous person and who exposes a drug racket in the school that she's working for. And Rajinikanth kills those criminals. The teacher gets a lot of media hype because of what she did. And right there, I got worried for her character. I was like, now these drug lords are going to kill her. And that's exactly what happens. She gets killed. But she's also brutally raped before she's killed. Once she gets killed, Rajinikanth realizes that she called him before she died. And apart from the fact that he had exposed her in front of the media for doing the right deed, he feels guilty about the fact that he couldn't save her. But she's not in the same jurisdiction, so there is another team working on investigating her death and how she died. And Rajinikanth is not allowed to be involved in the same. But at the same time, this whole incident blows up in the media. And there are people protesting that a teacher has been killed. This is so much wrong. And the whole teachers start a protest. They say, we are not going to let the exams be conducted and everything. In the meanwhile, the investigating team is able to track the criminal. And there is a lot of information about the criminal that goes out to the media. He knew the girl, he knew the teacher, and he was harassing her, he was a sex addict. A lot of those things are revealed in front of the media. And like everyone else, we want that criminal to be killed. Inside the movie and outside the movie, the emotions are the same. We are protesting against the criminal and we want that guy to be killed. And that's when Rajinikanth gets involved because the investigating team somehow lets the criminal slip away. And Rajinikanth gets involved and he's given like 7 days, but he promises to nab the criminal in 3 days. And he actually executes the criminal in exactly 2 days, 48 hours. And a lot of claps and whistles, I'm sure, when people must have watched it in a theater in India. But I love that scene. The execution scene was perfect. I clapped and I was happy that, okay, this guy who brutally raped this girl and murdered her deserves this death. And then the twist happens. He didn't do it. And now Rajinikanth, for the first time in his career, faces this dilemma. He's killed someone who's an innocent. And how do you repent for it, right? There is no way. The life is not going to come back. And right at this moment, we as an audience are also in the same dilemma. We realized that he was a very nice guy and he was actually very close to the teacher. He called her a sister. So we know that Rajinikanth, our hero, has done something wrong. We also are upset that this whole thing has happened, and we start questioning ourselves that in real life as well, right? There are so many things that come out in public. Yeah, this guy has raped a girl, this person has done this crime, and we protest about these things. We start, talking about it on social media without realizing that we are trying to hurry the justice system, which can do a wrong. There is a very important dialogue said by Amitabh Bachchan. Justice delayed is justice denied, but justice hurried is justice buried. I completely buy with his words. So the moral conflict comes to the fore, but then immediately goes in the background because now Rajnikant's character has to not just prove that this guy was innocent. He knows that this guy is innocent, the media doesn't. So he has to prove it for the parents of this guy that this guy is innocent. And he also has to nab the right criminal. So Rajnikant goes and starts investigating, and the movie becomes a completely different movie altogether in the second half. For me, the movie works like magic in the second half. I loved almost everything in the second half. The first half, as I said, is more about the heroism of Rajnikant, but the second half goes into the story behind what has happened. It goes into a completely different tangent. Now we talk about education system. I loved whatever they spoke about the education system. They talk about this coaching class called NAT coaching class, which I believe is very strongly inspired by another coaching class which became very famous and immediately became very infamous very recently. I don't want to go into the names because it's better that I don't get involved in these things in my channel, but this was a very famous scandal that people started talking about. So this coaching class, what they do is they keep selling their classes at a very exorbitant rate, online classes, and they sell it to poor children, to middle class people who take loans to get their children admitted to these coaching classes. And none of the children are able to understand what's happening. Some of them start learning about things that they need to learn when they are much older, at a much younger age. This led to many kids killing themselves because they are not able to meet the expectations of their parents who are taking loans from banks to educate them. It also made me personally question the education system. I was born to a middle class family, and my parents, very much like the parents of these children, took loans, sold everything that they had to educate me, to make sure that I finished my education. I took private tuitions, and I wasn't very bright in my studies. So to complete my engineering, my parents did everything that they could, right? And I did get a good job, but I believe my education had nothing to do with what I was doing in my career before I became a filmmaker. I think I did very well in my career before I became a filmmaker, and I don't credit any of the success to my education, especially after my 12th grade. I think until your 12th grade, you need to be educated, but your school is enough. Even if you're going to a government school, if we work on the quality of the teachers, like I studied in a very good school, and we barely paid anything when I was studying. So I got wonderful education from my teachers. And once you finish your 12th, I think you should focus on the career that you are planning to build, right? If you are going to become a doctor, yes, you need to go through the process of mastering in it. So, for example, if I knew I was going to be a filmmaker back in that age, I should have probably picked up one subject in which I'm going to be a master at, and all the other subjects which are required for my particular filmmaking experience. So maybe if I wanted to be a writer, I would have focused on becoming a writer, a screenwriter, and also studied a little bit about other aspects of filmmaking, because as a director you need to know every other aspect of filmmaking, right? Similarly, if someone wanted to become an engineer, they should be studying engineering and not be doing that if they are going to do something else in their life, right? I mean, it's easier to talk than implement such things. So nevertheless, I'll stick to the movie, and while watching the movie, I was completely involved with the criticism of the education system, of these coaching classes, and how much of a negative impact it's having on the society, on these students, and on these parents, right? And so while it's talking about all that, there is also this investigation happening, which is parallel because they are related to each other, and we have a completely different antagonist, something we don't expect at all through the first half and the beginning of the second half. The movie is very interesting. It's almost like The Wire. I recently spoke about the series The Wire. So you have a team of people who are trying to nab this criminal. It's obviously a Rajinikanth movie at the end of the day. So all of the things that are happening in the movie, while they are important, while they're interesting, at the end of the day, it is a mass commercial movie, and it's treated in that manner. And I'm completely okay with it. That's what my expectation was. So while you have the mass elevation scenes that you expect, in fact, a couple of outstanding scenes, I'll talk about both these scenes. I won't go too much into the details, but a little bit of the information I'll give. So there is this one scene where Rajinikanth and his team is attacked from all the corners. Rajinikanth, Fahad Fasil, that female cop I was talking about, and his wife. So four of the people are being attacked by henchmen of the antagonist, right? That whole sequence, the way it's done, is outstanding. It gives you goosebumps when you're watching it. And the best scene of the film in terms of mass elevation, in terms of everything. So Rajnikant goes to nab this antagonist, who's a very big guy, by the way, right? And he goes to his office, he gets hold of him, and as he's taking him outside his office through the elevator, as soon as he reaches the ground floor, Rajnikant gets a call from the police commissioner and he is immediately transferred to another department. And the criminal laughs at him. He's like, "You couldn't even take me outside my elevator. Forget my campus building, you know? That's your status. This is what you are. This is what I am." He laughs at him and he just goes away. Few scenes later, Rajnikant, who's working in a different department now, somehow manages to link the same criminal back to the crime that he's doing through his work in the other department. That's where this movie becomes a little bit like The Wire, you know, the series that I was talking about. And you have a female officer who goes to nab the criminal this time. So I was wondering, why did Rajnikant not go? He should be the one who should be going and nabbing the criminal again and telling him, "Yay, I did it." But he doesn't go. It is a female investigative officer who nabs the criminal. She brings him down the elevator to the ground floor. And as soon as the elevator opens, you have Rajnikant sitting on a sofa with the background song Hunter. Outstanding scene. This is the best scene of the movie. I love the way this whole scene was captured and picturized. And absolute mass elevation scene. I wonder how they manage to up themselves every time with Rajnikant. It's such a big challenge, in every movie. Like just in Jailer, you had so many mass elevation scenes. And once again, in this movie, they managed to have this great mass elevation scene. I just loved it. The movie talks about the right things. One of the major conflicts of the movie, which is whether you should go ahead and encounter a criminal or not. And you see them sticking to the stand that they took in the first half, in the end of the first half. You realize that it is wrong to execute criminals and there has to be a justice system. You should try your best to not delay the justice, but it is not right if you go ahead and kill the criminals because there is a possibility that you might be killing the wrong person. Rajnikant has already done it once in the movie. So they stick to the principle that they adopted towards the end of the first half. So you're happy about it. You like the stand that they're taking. And the discussions that they had during the movie about the education system, about the society was also very, I would say, kept me engaged and also inspired me to think about it. I know that a lot of times we may think about things after we watch a movie and we may not implement it or act on it. But if a movie makes you think, I think it's done its job. Because the main job is to entertain. So it's entertained and it's also made you think. So in my opinion, Vettaiyan ticked all the boxes. It was a mass entertainer. It had a couple of really good songs. It had wonderful mass elevation scenes. Not the number of mass elevation scenes you expect from a Rajnikant movie. Nevertheless, quite a few scenes. It had a very interesting premise. It spoke about an important topic. The discussion points were very good and it kept you engaged. It was a good crime investigation thriller. So overall, I think it ticked almost all the boxes. It's a very entertaining movie. Please watch it. I know a lot of you might have already watched it, but it's just the beginning of the second week. So if you haven't caught with the movie and if you're in 2 months whether you should watch the movie or not, I would request my viewers to please go ahead and watch this movie. Thank you again. Please keep watching all our videos and please watch our movie Karma Strikes. Thank you and see you soon.